Final high-stakes ODI between India and South Africa. After a brutal, hard-fought series, it has all come down to this: winner takes all.
You know, after two incredible games where both teams have just gone at it, trading heavy blows, the series is locked at 1-1. So this final match in Visakhapatnam, it's not just another game. It's the whole shebang. It's for the trophy.
So here's how we're going to break it all down for you. First, we'll set the stage for this awesome rivalry. Then, we'll shine a light on the key players who could really decide this thing. After that, we'll dig into the pitch conditions in Vizag, see what our AI predicts, and then we're going to zoom out and talk about a really fascinating debate happening in sports commentary right now.
So let's set the stage. How did we get to this point, with everything on the line in this final game? Well, it's all down to a classic rivalry that's gotten incredibly tight lately, kind of defying what the history books might tell you.
Now, if you look at the long history between these two cricket powerhouses, yes, South Africa has the overall edge. But that's not the whole story, not by a long shot. The really telling part is what's been happening recently. India has won 3 of the last 5. That signals a real shift in the dynamic and sets us up for an absolutely fierce finale.
Of course, a series decider like this, it always comes down to the players. So let's look at the athletes who are really shaping this contest, because some of the individual battles out there are just fantastic.
For India, I mean, you can't look past Virat Kohli. The guy is on another planet right now. He's just hit back-to-back hundreds for the 11th time in his career. He's not just getting runs, he's completely dominating the series, and honestly, he looks unstoppable.
And on the other side, for South Africa, Matthew Britsky has been an absolute revelation, hasn't he? In his first 11 games, he's already set a record for the most 50s. That kind of consistency at the top of the order, that's been absolutely vital for the Proteas.
And this is what's so cool about this series. You've got this perfect contrast. On one side, you have Kohli, the legendary master of the huge game-winning century. And on the other, you have Britsky, the breakout star who just keeps churning out 50s. Both of them are completely essential to their team's success.
But it's not just about those two. You got to keep your eyes on these other guys who can flip a match in an instant. For India, KL Rahul has been so destructive at the end of an innings, and Kuldeep Yadav has been their best bowler. For South Africa, Marco Jansen is a threat with both bat and ball. And Corbin Bosch, well, he's shown he can hit a very, very long ball.
Okay, so we've talked players. But you know what? That's only half the battle. The ground itself, the ACA VDCA Stadium in Vizag, is going to be a huge character in this story. It's going to play a massive role in how this all unfolds.
So if you just look at the raw numbers here from the past decade, Vizag seems like a really balanced ground, right? It's generally good for batting, but the key thing is that there's no obvious advantage to batting first or chasing, a perfect 50-50 split. So the toss doesn't seem that important, or does it?
And this is where things get really interesting. Forget the toss for a second and look at the bowlers. The spinners, they have a massive edge here. They go for nearly 10 runs less per wicket than the seamers. That means whoever can control those middle overs with spin could have the winning formula.
So we know it's a good batting track. We know it helps the spinners. But what's the one thing, the big X factor, that could just throw all of that right out the window and decide this whole series?
Yep, it's the dew. And don't just take my word for it. Here's India's assistant coach, Ryan Tendashate, talking about what a huge challenge it is.
In these day-night games, a really heavy dew settles in during that second innings, and it makes gripping that wet ball incredibly difficult for the bowlers.
And this is the number that really matters. Tendashate thinks the dew can swing the result by 10 to 20%. I mean, that's enormous. That is a massive wildcard that puts a huge advantage in the hands of the team batting second. All of a sudden, that coin toss looks pretty important, doesn't it?
All right, let's try to make sense of all this. We've got player form, we've got tricky pitch conditions, and we've got that massive dew factor. We've thrown all of it into our AI model to see what it spits out.
And the model has come up with a really interesting call. It's predicting that South Africa will win the toss and probably choose to chase, but that India will still find a way to win the match. It's also backing the guys in form, Kohli and Britsky, to be the top run scorers yet again.
And one thing the AI is pretty sure about, we're in for another high-scoring thriller. After South Africa chased down a mammoth 359 in the last game, the thinking is that no matter who bats first, they're going to need a mountain of runs, well over 300 to even feel safe.
Okay, so for the last part, let's just zoom out from the match for a second. Because the way we're even talking about this game, with all the stats and matchups and conditions, it actually taps into a much bigger conversation that fans are having about how cricket is presented to us.
And you see this all the time, right? There's this big divide in how the game is presented. On one hand, you've got the super analytical, stats-heavy approach, full of tactical breakdowns and strategic insights. And on the other hand, you've got the broadcast that's all about the drama, the hype, the player rivalries, and it often relies on old cliches like the pressure's building instead of really digging into the why.
So it leaves us with this final thought. As the game keeps evolving and bringing in new fans, what do you find more compelling? Are you here for the tactical chess match that the data reveals, or are you here for the human stories, the heroes, the rivalries, and the unbelievable pressure?
If you enjoyed this breakdown, we've got plenty more just like it, covering sports and a whole lot more. Go check out our other explainers, and hey, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next. Thanks for tuning in.